So, are you ready? Are you ready to journey with us through the characters of The Wizard of Oz and give you some insight into the power of gems and hopefully give you enough of an interest in what these gems are to continue the journey with us past the characters of The Wizard of Oz? A friend of mine's daughter always said everything you need to know about life can be found in The Wizard of Oz. Was not that big of a fan, but as the old adage goes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So when I was looking for something to demonstrate the power of finding your gems and how to guide you to a better, brighter, and bolder life, The Wizard of Oz showed up with a 4-year-old's perspective. My granddaughter Izzy has helped me see this movie so differently with her discovering eyes and her gem of wisdom. She asked me one night, "Grandma, why did Dorothy take the yellow and not the red brick road?" My answer to her was because there wasn't that option. But Grandma, there was. There was the yellow brick and the red brick road. I had to rewind the movie, and there it was, yellow and red brick road swirling at first together like a pinwheel and then moving off into different directions. There was never a mention in the song. It was all about following the yellow brick road. Izzy answers the question herself. The yellow brick road goes to Oz. The red brick road goes to the witch's castle. That's why she didn't take it. How can some 4-year-old be wiser than her grandmother? So Marie and I want to be new eyes and a fresh perspective to you, your situations, your challenges, and circumstances so that you can discover your gems. We want to shed a positive light and clean your lenses so that you can see yourself as you were created, which will give you the power to live a better, brighter, and bolder life every single day. So when Marie and I looked at this movie, we looked at some of the concepts and we said, well, what are 4 reasons that we could come up with from just watching this? And the first was they did not know that they had the gems. They didn't even know there was such a concept as gems, which up until a few years ago, know that they were there as well. Second is that at some point they might have known that they had gems, but someone or something or themselves diminished it. They took away some of the value of it. Thirdly, they were calling the gems by the wrong name. And fourth, they were really drawing the wrong conclusion. So each one of these 4 points matches up with one of the characters. So what better character to start with than Dorothy? Why did she not already know that she had the gems, the power to go home? So some possible answers to that are she was not aware of her gems, that such a thing existed. She never had a problem that needed a gems solution, or her gems were never tested to the point that a gem surfaced, or that we could use that gem to the full strength and say, oh my goodness, this thing is powerful. So what could be some of the reasons that you don't know that you have gems? Have you been in a job for so long that you've never tested any other capabilities? Have you sometimes felt that I'm just not bold enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not willing enough to take that step out? So think of some of the reasons why you, if you're not aware that you have these gems, what could have caused that? So let's go back to Dorothy. Dorothy was not aware of her gems because she did not have to use them. Really. She had other options. Dorothy believed she could get home by going to Oz. So taking that journey down the yellow brick road was her solution. She didn't have to go find her gems until she realized that going to Oz was actually a dead end for her. Secondly, Dorothy never needed to use it. She never left the comfort of Kansas. While she was in Kansas, she really didn't have to go inside of herself and see what she was really made of. So until she had a problem, such as not being able to get home, that needed that gem solution, she was not aware that she had or that she needed these gems. And thirdly, Dorothy never tested the full strength of her gems. This is the funny part. She knew not to take those ruby slippers off. She was told that they had great power. Wasn't that why the wicked witch wanted them in the first place? But she was not told that she had within her the ability to ignite that power at any time. She's in the witch's castle, click, 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 she could have went away. She believed that the journey to Oz, she had to do all these extra steps and then more or less earn them. Isn't that true for most of us? We might have heard, someone said that there was something that had some gem potential, but we did not listen and fully understand that these were our gems. Or we might have never had a problem that needed a gem solution. It's amazing how resourceful we are when we're faced at a crossroads, at a dead end, that all of a sudden we can say, wow, there's something inside of us that we can really use to get through this problem, this challenge. So when all of our other options were gone, the wizard had launched the balloon. Dorothy was even almost resolved to stay in Oz. That's when she could hear and believe the truth of what was really inside of her. Too often, my desire to remain in my comfort zone, stay within that corporate world setting, or even to go back. How many times I've looked to say, I'll just go get another HR job, even if it's not an executive, rather than risk me moving into that gem zone. Really stepping out, standing up, maybe shining a little bit too brightly, or not being as bright as I thought I was. That can be just as scary. Maybe it would attract too much attention, it would cause too much stress. There's always these reasons that we say we're not going to use our gems. Have we ever thought what it would be like if we did? Now that's a whole different story. This is the main reason that I went into finding the gems. I wanted to find that solution for myself, but also for my clients. I would watch them talk about strengths and success. They would talk about their work with as much interest as they were talking about paint drying. And when I could get them onto the topic of things that really meant something to them, things that were powerful in their life, and I could see that shift in their energy, that all of a sudden they were standing up straight in their greatness, that there was an emotion, there was enthusiasm to it, that I said, this is the place we need to talk about because it's so true. It's so obvious. And it's interesting, it wasn't obvious to them until I could be that mirror and be that perspective for them. And when they discovered their gems, when they had language around their gems, let me tell you, they then had power, they had confidence, and they had clarity. And they finally realized how precious they really were. So I want to share with you, I'm going to call it my gems conversion story. I'm calling it a conversion story because I have this gem called faith, which I believe all of us have. But sadly, until it was really tested, I didn't know how powerful faith is. So let me just say, I believed in God my entire life. I believed in myself a lot more. I relied too much on myself, too much on what I could do, and that isn't really faith. It was not until I had no other way out from the challenges in my life, when the pressure was so absolutely intense, I felt like Dorothy that my only solution was to run away from home. Dorothy wanted to run away from home to keep Toto. I wanted to run away from home to keep my sanity. When I was at my lowest and the pressure, the stress was at its highest, is when I realized the power of my faith gems. Because let me tell you, I now knew that God existed like he never had before. My marriage was reignited. My ability to be a mother was blessed in so many ways. My work had meaning and purpose to it. And when I was really tested, really tested after my faith conversion, which was 6 months because our daughter had died. And let me tell you, that was when I turned on the full potential of my faith. I had it set at times like almost on a dimmer switch. I would turn it up and down according to my needs, or when I was on my knees. And I had put that faith dimmer switch really like you were having an intimate dinner setting. And now I needed to turn that switch up like I was going to be performing brain surgery. That's how intense I needed to do. Because I knew the impact of that tragedy of losing a child could have on a marriage, could have on a family, could have on an individual. It could destroy them. And I knew that to keep myself, to keep my marriage intact, and to keep my family together, I had to find something, which was faith, and rise above the circumstances. And when I did, it really brought the full power of that faith gem to the surface. So if you feel you have a gem's potential, there's something inside of you that says this might be it. It is a gift I feel from God. I do feel energy and enthusiasm around even thinking about doing this activity. I feel motivated. And when I'm doing it or done it, I feel pretty marvelous. And there is that satisfaction. Just put it to the test. Push yourself a little bit more. Test it. Say, oh, do I feel energized? Am I excited? And it is through that testing, sometimes when our options become limited, like losing a job, losing a marriage, losing a child, when we feel we can go no further by the power that we have, that we really need to dig deep inside of ourselves and find something much stronger. And just like Dorothy, and just like me, we usually find our gems when we're really tested. Do I believe there's a possibility to find our gems before we get to the breaking point? Absolutely. Unfortunately, too many of us need to learn the hard way before we find the easy way. That's why we've put the GEM program together, because it is a discovery journey. So let's go back and say, what did you learn and Dorothy learn from this GEMS lesson? Number one, that we are not always aware of our gems or the concept of gems. That until we have a problem that needs a gem solutions, they can lay dormant. And we might have gems, but we've sort of set them on a dimmer switch, and we've never really tested them to see their full brilliance. Aren't they worth finding? Aren't they worth discovering? I hope you feel so. Because Marie has the next lesson, and that will be some insight into the Tin Man and how somewhere along his journey, the value of his gems had been diminished. Has that ever happened to you, that you had something that you valued, something that you loved and cared about, and someone just said it wasn't as good as you thought it was? Just think of the impact that that had on you, and think what it could do for you if you could reestablish that value. Just want to thank you again for joining us on our GEMS journey to a better, brighter, and bolder life. And if you have any comments that you want to leave for us, and even better, if you have a GEMS story, please share with us on our Facebook page.